All right, let's try a hypothetical here. What would it mean if the White House just cut out the news media completely? Never gave another interview, never held another press conference. What would happen? Remember, those briefings, the interviews, they're not mandated by any law. They're there because of a tradition. So why don't we just take this strategy to its logical extreme? No briefings, no interviews, just tweets. What would happen?
I actually said today, let's not ever do any more press briefings. You know, they're getting tremendous ratings.
A basic fundamental question. Why does the White House communicate with the press?
I'm tempted to say, for the same reason that a bully picks on a 98-pound weakling at lunch every day, because it always serves their interests and they're sure to win.
We took this question to Larry Sabato. He's a go-to guy for any question on the presidency. What, if any, political upside would there be for Trump to completely shut out the press?
If Trump shut the press out, then one would assume that his administration would be defined by his tweets. Is that a good or bad thing? I suppose you can argue that it is Trump's unfiltered mind. Of course, that's what frightens most people.
Now, this is probably an obvious point, but the fewer interviews Donald Trump does, the more focus on his social media output. You think there's too much parsing of Donald Trump's Twitter feed now?
Trump tweeting minutes ago.
All right.
Can I do the honors?
Stand by, tweet alert.
Every single tweet would get blanket media coverage, even the ones without made-up words. That is some damn good kofifi. But look, just tweeting, that would have some serious downsides for Trump.
Americans expect access to their president, and not just in rallies in front of tens of thousands of cheering supporters. So I think it would hurt him, and I don't think Twitter is a substitute for facing a reporter and answering a dogged reporter's question.
And did you ask, am I under investigation?
I actually asked him, yes.
Here's Dan Pfeiffer, former Obama communications director.
We can talk all we want about the new media, but still to this day, most people get their information from the media that covers the White House. So when you cut that off, you are eliminating your ability to communicate your message to the American people.
This is Martha Kumar. She's an expert on White House messaging.
He would lose an opportunity to explain what he wants to do as president, what his goals are, his priorities, and that is important for him as a way to talk to the public.
Let's talk about the briefing for a second. In Trump's presidency, it's become practically must-see television.
This was the largest audience to ever witness an inauguration, period.
Network executives at every cable news outlet have chosen to broadcast it from front to back. And by the way, it's worth remembering, this wasn't always the case. Other administrations would have killed for that level of attention. I mean, just take a look at this clip from a few years ago. Look at all those empty seats. Today, for Spicer's briefings, standing room only. So let's say they were to do away with the briefing. Trump's White House would be giving up a free, unfiltered broadcast aired on all the cable networks.
Look at the viewership that all the cable channels have experienced, that you all have experienced, and it's because people want information.
The briefing also allows the president's surrogates to answer the tough questions, rather than the president himself. Think of it like a safety valve.
If the White House is answering questions every day on camera, it reduces the pressure on the surrogate to go out on the Sunday shows and for the president to be out there all the time. It lets some of the air out of the balloon on a daily basis.
Of course, there would also be some positives for Trump. The biggest winners? Maybe Trump's surrogates, who time and time again have seen their credibility suffer in their efforts to explain the president's policies. You know the script by now. Act 1, the defense.
Isn't it true that the president had already decided to fire James Comey, and he asked the Justice Department to put together the rationale for that firing?
No.
Act 2, the contradiction.
You had made the decision before they came in the room.
I was going to fire Comey. Oh, I was going to fire regardless of recommendation.
So there was
Act 3, humiliation.
Kellyanne Conway, Sarah Huckabee, Sean Spicer, Mike Pence, now all in the same category, in the Kellyanne category. Not credible, proved as a liar, made a fool.
But getting rid of the briefing and the interviews, it wouldn't just affect the White House or the press covering it. It would also affect the American public.
It would mean that the American public would probably be better informed. Why is that? Because particularly in this administration, most of what you hear in a press secretary's press conference and that daily briefing is misrepresentations, outright lies, and propaganda.
Now, of course, Polls show that much of the public despises the press. Trump continues to exploit that distrust. But does the electorate really want a president who never has to answer a tough question? A White House that doesn't provide basic information to the public it serves?
I think the press briefing, for as annoying as it is for the White House staff on a daily basis, is an incredibly important part of democracy.
Look, people may not like individual channels or individual reporters, but they understand that the press has an essential role in democracy, any democracy, and certainly ours. They want reporters to ask tough questions.
The public still views many in the media as their proxy to ask questions they want answers to because they can't get those answers.
Once you're actually in office, answering for your policies, taking tough questions, it's not just something the American people have come to expect. It's a core function of our democracy.